There is just something about a vintage watch that screams timeless style. It doesn't matter if it's a manual, an automatic, it doesn't matter if it's a quartz or even a digital. There's just something about it that turn heads and bring eyeballs down to it that scream, what is this on your wrist? Now, when it comes to the watch we're talking about today, which is a Casio, that's exactly what all this does. It checks all the boxes when it comes to vintage aesthetic with today's technology. Today, we're talking about this Casio from their vintage collection. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chase and this is All Things Random, mostly watch reviews with some random stuff sprinkled in between. The random stuff is right down the road. It'll be sprinkled in really soon. Now today we are looking at a Casio from their vintage collection, and this specifically is the A100WE-7BEF. Now this watch is one of those watches that caught my eye on the interwebs, and I decided to pick one up because I know it's going to catch your eye also. Now, unlike other Casios, the thing that really puts this thing front and center for that vintage vibe is the fact that the pushers are not on the outside of the case, but they're on the front of the case, front and center. It just looks super cool. So with all that said, let's just go ahead and hop right into the review. So flip the camera around and let's dive into it. And here it is, the Casio A100WE-7BEF in all of its glory. Now, this watch comes in at about $41 on Amazon, which is where I picked it up. You can find it for over $50 in other places. And when you look at other colorways that is in the vintage collection, you're looking at over $100, which to me is just way too expensive for this watch. If you find it for about $40, I'd say pick it up, because now the Casio World Time is coming in about $40. And this kind of is comparable to that watch when it comes to its sizing, when it comes to the materials used. But this thing offers way less in its actual functionality. The only reason to get this watch is because you want something quirky on the wrist and you like that vintage aesthetic of the pushers on the front, which is completely different than the pushers on the side of most watches. That's really what it is. It's eye-catching. So let's talk about the size, the materials, and then the functionality of the watch, and then we'll do a wrist check there at the very end. This is going to be 32 millimeters wide and 40 millimeters overall. Now that means this is going to be a relatively small watch on most wrists, because most lug to lugs come in at about 46 to 48 millimeters, and this is about 6 to 8 millimeters smaller than that, so it is going to fit small on the wrist. But this kind of goes in the category of smaller, maybe 36 millimeter size dress watches, because this thing is going to fit quite nicely underneath the cuff of a dress shirt if that's how you choose to wear it. It is 9 millimeters thick, and you can see already that fingerprints are being left on this case. The case is resin, and it is painted with a high polished paint. It looks quite nice outside because it has that really dressy pop of shine. The bracelet right here is a brushed, and this is their rolled steel, so it's going to be just like that Casio Royale World Time. It's going to be that cheap, chintzy strap, but that's okay because it still looks great for the price point. It has that classic Casio clasp that people have come to love. And the adjustments on these are extremely simple and they'll fit every wrist. Pop this off, and right here you can see it has an arrow. The arrow is for you to use something like a small screwdriver like this. And then you just pop that up and it can slide up and down the bracelet so you can get the perfect fit for your wrist. It has a simple case back that is pressed down, and this thing only has 30 meters of water resistance. One of the things about the back is it shows you exactly what the pushers are in reference to the exact opposite of what the watch is. So right here it says light. Well, that's not, you would think that, okay, well, this is like the front of the watch, so maybe this would be the light, but it's not. This is the light. So what they're telling you is on the exact reverse is where the buttons are for the functionality. So you see on the upper top, it says reset, mode, start, and light. So let's just go ahead and go through the functionality of the watch right now. Before we get into the functionality of the watch, I will point out that it does have a reversed LED, which is quite nice. The black with the white lettering is a great contrast to the overall silver and shine of the face and the watch itself. So, like it said, this bottom one is going to be the mode. You have alarm, you have a stopwatch, and if you want to start it, you hit this one, stop it, reset right there. Goes into functioning through the time. So to be able to move around, you just hit this. It'll go through, cycle through. How to change everything. You change it with this right here, and then you hit it again, and boom. And that's really it. That's all the functionality that it has with this watch. Let's go ahead and check out the backlight, because that's actually quite nice on this. A lot of Casios just will have like an LED that kind of shines. This doesn't. This is fully backlit, and it looks perfect. It looks really nice. You can't change how many seconds it turns on. Some Casios you can. You know, you can have it turned on for 1 second or 3 seconds or 5 seconds. This is just, that's it, about 1.5 seconds, and that's all it offers. So let's go ahead and toss it on the wrist. Okay, on my 7.25 inch wrist, you can see that, like I said, it fits kind of small, which is okay if you're in a dressy setting. Now, you could be a smaller person or someone who just likes smaller watches, and this thing is going to fit that vibe quite nicely. Again, loved the rolled steel bracelet. Very comfortable, even though it kind of has that cheap feel. It's very comfortable. Don't worry, this is not from the bracelet. This is from something else. Again, love the clasp, even though it's just a pressed clasp. Easy adjustment up the bracelet. It does have a slight taper, so you can really only go up so high, but if your wrist is that small, well, you're probably a baby. Love the reversed LED on the front. And again, this is on my 7.25 inch wrist. So you get an idea of just how big it is. And again, what is so appealing about this watch is just the fact that it's different. And that's it. It doesn't offer a whole lot. It offers the basic necessities of what you would need. And that's it. Has the classic Casio script across the top where they want to write that it's water resistant and they want to do everything else that's just indicative of Casio. But other than that, I would say this is a pretty great watch if you can pick it up for under 40 bucks. Now, what do you guys think about the video? Now that I gave you an overall impression of the watch and what it has to offer, is it worth the $40 price point of the silver one, or the $80 price point of the black one, or the $100 price point of any of the other alternatives? I think 40 bucks, 50 bucks is actually pretty good for this watch. I think it gives you that wonderful overall aesthetic that, again, is timeless. I keep coming back to the fact this is timeless. You could wear this even though it does have the rolled links of the bracelet and it does feel slightly chintzy. Doesn't matter. It's going to look great in a suit, or it's going to look great in shorts. It is just something that if you don't have a whole lot of money, invest in something like this Casio. Casio, as Nico Leonard would say, is God tier.
Because Casio is God tier. Let me tell you why Casio is God tier.
So you might as well spend the money on the God tier style watches. Now, what do you guys think about this video? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Leave a comment down below. I always respond to all the comments, at least right now. And hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, because I have so many videos coming out in the future to include that random stuff that I always talk about. I'll see you guys in the next one.